A little background first. I was 18 and I had been working at McDonald's for about a year and had saved up enough money to move into my own place. I found a little apartment down the street from my parents' house. It was kinda creepy and old, but cheap, so I took it. I, being the second oldest of 5 kids, loved my freedom and would often chill in my apartment in just a t-shirt or naked if I felt like it, especially in the summer, 'cause wow, that old apartment got hot. To give you an idea of the setup of my apartment, when you first walk in, the door opens to a huge living room to the left, the kitchen to the right, the bathroom, and further down to the left is my room. I had just gotten off a really long shift and had been thinking about the fat joint waiting for me the entire time. I walked home this day because I couldn't get a hold of my mother and I didn't want to wait at work or in the heat for her. I made it home and it had to be like 1,000,000 degrees that day. I was extremely sweaty by the time I got home. I turned the key and walked in, put my things on the sofa like I always did, turned around, took off my shoes, and locked the door. I know I did for a fact. I'm a tiny person, like 4'11" and 115 pounds, if that. My parents instilled a healthy fear into me and my siblings. So yes, I always made sure my doors and windows were locked, even during the day. I stripped down to my most vulnerable state, sparked my joint, and was wandering around my apartment. I flipped on the radio, and when I turned around, my door was wide open, and about 3 feet away from me stood an old woman. She was wearing a pink and blue thick old school ugly Christmas sweater and matching sweatpants and snow boots. I ducked my baked naked ass down behind the sofa and tried to pinch my joint out, burning the tips of my fingers. I don't know why she didn't see me, but she was standing in my doorway mumbling to herself, "She needs this, she needs this," in a snap creaky kind of whisper, over and over. I stared at her for a while, kind of in shock. She has slimy gray hair, slicked back, and curly at the ends. Her eyes were the creepiest part. She was fumbling with a Christmas tree holder thing. I figured she was a nutcase, and decided to yell at her, to maybe scare her away. "Hey, get the fuck out of here! I have a gun!" It takes her a second to see where I am, and she legit comes towards me, saying, "You need this! You need this!" in a snap, dry, cracking voice. I run over the sofa and towards the door, and with all my force push it closed and lock it, and pull the sofa in front of it and stand it up and look through the peephole. She's just fucking standing there, looking at the door all weird. She got super close to the door and screams, "I can hear you breathing." I dive off the sofa and grab my phone and jump back to watch her through the peephole. She's still there. I can kinda see her shoulders, so I said I'm calling the police and for her to get the fuck out of there. She just starts laughing. I wasn't about to call the police though. I had a zip of bud just sitting on the table, and it stunk so bad. So I called my brother. He's a huge dude, and I knew he'd be close by to help. I said as loud as I could, "Please come help me, someone's trying to break into my apartment." Luckily, my brother was driving to my parents' house and was already on my street, and I heard him say, "I'm here," and he hung up. I hear my brother yell, "What are you doing?" and saw the lady run towards the exit. I grabbed my work clothes and put them on in a hurry, pulled the sofa out of the way and opened the door. My brother chased her off. I could tell he was trying to intimidate her, not hurt her, just scare her off. I looked at my door and I noticed she was carving words into my door, like Merry Christmas. It's fucking July. I, still to this day, have no idea how she got my door open. My brother thought the entire experience was the funniest thing ever, like legit tears from laughing while I'm standing there in panic mode, and he just can't stop laughing. I got a roommate super quick after that, and got a chain lock for my door. I've never seen her again, and I even asked my landlord if he knew her, or if she lived in the building. He said he didn't have any older tenants, and maybe she was someone's mom or something. He thought the story was pretty funny too. I'm going to start this out saying I'm an 18-year-old female, but this all started when I began school at 4. The school I went to was a junior kindergarten to grade 8. I remember one day after school, it had to be almost summer, when my mother received a call on our landline. She usually doesn't accept random numbers, so she just declined it. The next day, I went to school, and some random teacher who I think taught one of the higher grades came up to me during recess and asked me something along the lines of, "Did you get my call, honey?" It wasn't weird at the time. I just thought he would have called my mom about school or something. When I got home and told her about it, she awkwardly called the school, which I found was different than the number who called, and they said they didn't know of a call made. So she told them about the teacher, and they didn't take it seriously, I assume, because the next day, during recess, he came over and talked to me. I forget about what though, and still, I didn't think it was weird. But then he took it too far. One time I was having a sleepover with my friend, we'll call her Janice, and we were having popsicles out near the pool. We have a fence and a gate around our backyard, so my mom would let us just hang out, but she had to be there when we swam. We were chatting and sucking on our popsicles when I hear the gate rattle and whistling. I instantly call my mom thinking it's for her, and she comes out, but not before I hear someone running away. Janice and I tell my mom what happened, and when my dad came home she asked if anyone was supposed to be there. I'm guessing he said no, because after that she never let us go out there without her. Nothing else happened for a while, except a few odd compliments like, "Ah, that's quite a short dress there, honey," or something weird like that. Then mid-year senior kindergarten, he brought his class into ours because they were reading to us, and we were going to watch a movie. I got paired with someone. We read, and then we watched The Nightmare Before Christmas, even though Christmas had passed. This whole time his hands were tickling my back, and I thought it was so weird. I told my mom when I got home, and she seemed to had enough because she called the school and told me to go to my room. Fast forward to summer, and I'm at Dairy Queen or something, and my mom is ordering right beside me. I'm sitting with Janice at the booth, and the door jingles, signaling someone's coming in. Guess who it is? Creepy teacher man. Me and Janice visibly tense up, and my mom notices the guy, who she's seen before because of the annual school carnival and me pointing him out. She escorts us out to a lake, since 1, she doesn't want us near that freak, and 2, the lakes are nice where I live, and she probably thought that scenery and Sundays would make us happy. Now the weird stuff happens. School starts up again, and frankly, I'm a bit nervous about seeing Creep McGee, and if he'll confront me about the Dairy Queen incident. Luckily he doesn't, I think. It was so long ago. But during nighttime was when things started to get bad. I was in my room and waiting for my mom to fetch a snack for me. My room is on the bottom floor, and there's a huge window just beside the window on the backyard side. Suddenly, I hear footsteps and I peer outside the window, and there he is, with the most terrifying smile ever. He was crawling on all fucking fours to my window and tapped it oddly, like he was playing a song or something. I screamed for my mom, but he didn't move. She came in and started yelling for him to leave. My dad came in and she told him to call the cops. Long story short, he was fired from his job and we got a restraining order. But oh, it doesn't end there. It was a few years, 3 I think. I was 8. We had moved to a different city 2 hours away from my old one, and I went to a different school. After school, I had a babysitter, Rebecca, and she was super nice. I told her about the perv teacher, and she told me a story about how something similar happened to her. Well, she picked me up from school one day, and we were walking to her car. She parks about a mile down the road so we can walk and chat. But about half a mile in, she starts rushing me, and we're slightly jogging. I turned my head for 1 second to see a man with a long beard, but I knew it was him, and he was violating his restraining order. He was also walking quite fast. We made it to her car safely, and she was just about to hit the gas pedal before, in the same melody he tapped my window in. She had the most horrified look on her face, but I knew we were safe in her car. "Can you please give me a ride to my mother's house? I baked some cookies for her," he asked through the window, so fucking creepily. "No," Rebecca responded, not even bothering to give an excuse. She was about to floor it, probably, before he frowned, kicked the car, and left. Obviously, Rebecca told my parents, and they called the police. I don't know what happened next, since I was 8, but I'm sure they found him. What is creepy to me now is that he was in the same city, 2 hours away. Why? Every night my mom would lock our doors, just in case he decided to break in, or be creepy. I closed my blinds every night, but now my room was on the 3rd floor, a loft, so I had nothing to worry about. Now I'm 10, and I still sometimes think about it, but I'm fine going to school with Rebecca, and she picks me up still. She was actually pregnant at the time, and was going to name it after my middle name, Poppy. It was summer. I had friends over, and Rebecca was watching us as my parents were out on date night. It was around 8 p.m., so not quite dark yet. There was a knock on the door. Rebecca had ordered pizza, so we thought it was just the pizza guy. But when she opened it, it was the bearded creep. She tried slamming the door, but he put his foot in the door so she couldn't close it. I dove for my phone and called 911, but he persisted. Eventually, he pushed his way in, and me, Rebecca, and my friends beeline it for the basement. The police were on their way, and Rebecca was yelling it, but he kept kicking or hitting the door. I called my parents too, sobbing, and they told me they'd be home as soon as possible. The police came, and my parents did too. This time they pressed charges, and they had to go to court. He did pay a fine of about $4,000 or something, and had to go to jail for around 2 years. By far the scariest encounter with him was when I was 15. I was at my boyfriend's house and he was going to walk me home. We just left his house at around 10 p.m. and we were 15 minutes into our walk before we hear, "Hey, get the hell off her, you fucking rapist. What are you going to do, kidnap her? Murder her?" My heart dropped. A drunk man stumbled out of the bushes and lunged from 5 feet away from us, missing by a long shot. We started running home, and he was chasing us. He wasn't too fast, though. He was grunting and coughing, and we made it home before it was too late. My father had enough of this, and went outside to confront him. He was still there, of course, yelling about how my boyfriend's a rapist and a murderer. I'm still with him today. I'm not sure what happened after that, but I haven't seen Mr. Creep for over 3 years, and I hope we won't meet again. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. If you would like a chance to have your story featured in an upcoming video, make sure you email it to yourmakers6260@gmail.com. I hope everyone's having a great weekend, and I really appreciate you all checking this out, especially those that are catching this live on Fear Your Maker, who I'm looking at the webcam right now. This is kind of awkward actually recording this in front of everyone watching. And you're actually going to be able to hear this on Your Maker's video too. That's going to be really cool for you. Anyways, hope you're all having a great weekend. Thanks for dropping in, listening to it, subscribing, liking, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. And just remember, it's always scarier if it's true. True.